Visual clutter is often described as an excess of items in a space, creating a sense of disorganization. It can be observed in many areas of a home, from countertops and shelves to digital desktops. The presence of numerous objects competing for attention is a common characteristic of modern living environments. This accumulation happens gradually, often without a specific intention. As daily life unfolds and items are acquired, used, and set aside, in home environments, visual clutter manifests in various forms. It might appear as stacks of mail on a dining table, an assortment of appliances on a kitchen counter, or a collection of decorative objects that overcrowd a mantelpiece. Each item, on its own, may be useful or meaningful, but in aggregate, they contribute to a visually busy landscape. This is not necessarily about the quantity of possessions, but more about their placement and organization. A room with many books, for instance, might feel studious and calm if they are arranged neatly on shelves, while the same number of books, scattered on floors and furniture, could be perceived as cluttered. The concept of visual noise is frequently used to describe the effect of this excess. It suggests that, like auditory noise, a high density of visual information can be distracting. In a home setting, this might mean that the eye does not have a place to rest. Instead, it is constantly scanning a multitude of shapes, colors, and textures. This phenomenon is observed not just in physical spaces, but also in digital ones. A computer screen filled with icons, files, and open windows presents a similar kind of visual information overload. One approach to managing visual information in a space involves the principle of designated placement. This is the idea that every item has an assigned home. When an object is not in use, it is returned to its specific spot. This can be seen in practice in kitchens where utensils are stored in drawers, or in offices where paperwork is organized into labeled files. The act of creating these systems is distinct from the daily habit of using them. The existence of a designated spot does not automatically ensure its use, but it provides a framework for order. Another observed method is containerization. This involves grouping similar items together in boxes, baskets, or other containers. On a desk, for example, pens, paperclips, and other small supplies might be gathered into organizers. In a living room, remote controls, magazines, and other miscellaneous items could be placed in a decorative box on a coffee table. This technique doesn't necessarily reduce the number of items owned, but it consolidates them, reducing the number of individual visual elements the eye has to process. The cluttered surface is transformed into a more ordered one, with fewer, larger visual blocks. Surface clearing is a related practice. Many people find that maintaining clear, open surfaces on tables, counters, and desks helps to create a sense of order. This often involves a daily or weekly routine of putting things away. A common example is clearing the kitchen counters after preparing a meal or tidying the living room before going to bed. The visual effect is one of expansion and simplicity, as the flat, empty planes of the furniture become more prominent features in the room. The one-in one-out rule is another concept sometimes applied. This principle suggests that for every new item brought into the home, a similar existing item is removed. If a new piece of clothing is purchased, an old one is donated or discarded. This practice is aimed at maintaining a steady state of possessions, preventing the gradual accumulation that often leads to clutter. It encourages a more conscious approach to acquiring new things, as each purchase is weighed against the existing inventory. In considering the objects within a home, some people find it useful to evaluate items based on their function, frequency of use, or personal significance. An item that is used daily, such as a coffee maker, might earn a permanent spot on the counter. An object with deep sentimental value, like a family photograph, might be given a place of honor. Items that are neither useful nor meaningful may be identified as primary candidates for removal. This process is highly personal, as the value of an object is subjective. What one person considers essential, another might see as unnecessary. The arrangement of furniture also plays a role in the perception of visual clutter. A room where furniture is placed in a way that obstructs pathways or crowds the space can feel cluttered, even if it is tidy. Conversely, a thoughtful layout that allows for easy movement and creates clear zones for different activities can make a space feel more open and organized. This involves considering the scale of the furniture in relation to the size of the room and ensuring there is adequate negative space, or empty area, around the pieces. Color and pattern can also contribute to, or alleviate the feeling of a cluttered space. A room with many competing patterns and a disjointed color palette can feel visually chaotic. Harmonizing these elements can have a calming effect. This might involve choosing a limited color scheme and using patterns selectively as accents. Neutral backgrounds are often used to create a serene canvas, allowing a few chosen objects or pieces of art to stand out without creating visual noise. Managing digital clutter follows similar principles. On a computer, creating a structured folder system is analogous to using containers in a physical space. Files are grouped by project, date, or category, making them easier to find and reducing the jumble of icons on the desktop. Regularly deleting unnecessary files and emails is the digital equivalent of decluttering physical objects. Some people schedule time for this, just as they would for tidying a room. The experience of visual clutter is subjective and can vary significantly from one individual to another. One person's stimulating, lived-in environment might be another person's chaotic, stressful mess. Cultural backgrounds, personal preferences, and lifestyle needs all influence how much stuff feels right. There is no universal standard for the ideal level of visual simplicity. Some people thrive in visually rich environments, drawing energy and inspiration from their surroundings. Others find that a more minimalist aesthetic, with fewer possessions and more open space, supports their well-being. Ultimately, addressing visual clutter is a process of curating one's environment to align with personal needs and preferences. It is less about following a rigid set of rules and more about observing one's own space and how it feels. It involves making conscious decisions about what to keep, where to put it, and how to arrange it. The goal is often to create a home that functions smoothly for its inhabitants and provides a backdrop that feels supportive for their daily lives. The process itself can be ongoing, as homes are dynamic spaces that evolve with the lives of the people who live in them.